Well, the bad news is the Phoenix Suns almost lost by 30. The good news is they're still on pace to smash the over-under set by Vegas. Psychos and sickos unite for a 1-in-1 edition of PHNX Suns. Presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10. Place a bet for 5 and get $200 in bonus bets. I'm Sad, and I'm Eric. That's Steven. We got Espo. And the freckled Mamba behind the Mac making all the magic happen.
You forgot the other group that today's postgame is brought to you by. La Cosa Nostra, when you hear that music.
Thank you all so much for joining us on a Friday night. GoofyTube 28BH28. Kev, Priscilla, Kara, Suns fan, Kev, AJ, Michael, AZBG. Appreciate everybody who is spending their Friday night with us, especially our members whose names are green and have access to exclusive emojis that you can get access to today by hitting that join button, which is next to the subscribe button, which is right next to the like button as well. Make sure you hit all of those. If you're listening on audio, 5-star reviews go a long way. As the Phoenix Suns lost 129-102 to the Los Angeles Clippers, a lot to break down from today, but our initial reactions to the Suns losing in dramatic fashion.
The Suns paid Bradley Beal $243,000 to help beat them tonight.
I mean, this is what it can look like when they're not controlling those controllable elements of the game that they're kind of prioritizing in this new era for their identity. When it's not there, against a team with more talent, team with more shot making, this is what it can look like at times.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was a lot that went wrong with this game. I think off rip, there were some things that went good. Part of this does come down to the fact that the Clippers did get extraordinarily hot from deep, which sure does play into the Suns' defense, but James Harden was hitting crazy shots. Derrick Jones Jr. was hitting crazy shots. Chris Dunn was hitting threes. Kawhi was hitting a bunch of shots as well. Not that it doesn't excuse how the Suns played tonight, but LA did catch fire for a lot of it.
Yeah, but you're supposed to be a group that's predicated on defense is kind of the idea that we were sold on. They didn't exactly play quality defense tonight. That was a big part of the problem, but most of us think optimistically 38-39 wins is kind of the ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't lose 40 some odd games without losing one. Like, this is going to happen on numerous nights this season, and we know that. You're prepared for it. It's what little things can you get better at night in, night out. The one thing that I think is beneficial is some of these guys that are part of that firefighter group that Nigel Hayes Davis was talking about could work through some things in that back half, which maybe plays some dividends. Nigel in particular got kind of a rhythm on his shot. That's when you have nights like this that you got to look at, okay, are those little things maybe something that carries over? But we're going to see a lot of this season.
Yeah, I think the other part of it too is if you're looking at it as a whole, when Jalen does come back and when Mark starts to play more of the minutes that he's expected to and the role that he's supposed to be in, that means that puts the other guys in the positions that they're more apt to play to as far as roles go. And how does that kind of change the way that things kind of ebb and flow because of who's in lineups when and where over the course of games? Just little things to keep in mind to not be too Debbie Downer about a game against the best team that this team has gone up against, including preseason so far, but also a team that has championship aspirations.
I mean, yeah, the Suns were 10-point dogs tonight going into this game against a team that, yes, got blown out by the Jazz, but their roster construction tells a completely different story. I do want to talk about the Jalen Green aspect and the Suns missing it, because I know we're going to focus on defense. The Suns had 70-plus points put on them in the first half. Yet again, the Clippers scored 129 points. Certainly the defense has not been over the entirety of these two games exactly what we expected. But where I felt like this game was truly lost was when Devin Booker was off the court in the first half, and the Suns just did not have somebody who could go out there and get you a bucket. We spent a lot of this offseason kind of lamenting Jalen Green's shot selection and the fact that he would take shots that he probably shouldn't be, but we'd be praising the way that he creates them. And the Suns need another shot creator out there. This team does not have enough talent to get by without it.
I agree that you need Green, and I agree that his shot creation is important. But if you go back and look at that stretch you're talking about, bench scoring was 14-14. It felt like they gave it up. But the problem was you weren't playing good enough defense against Kawhi or James, who was in with that bench group. And when they got hot, that's when things really swung. And maybe Jalen could have given you somebody to battle that a little bit offensively. But again, you need him because he is going to be such a big part of your offense. But you also need a guy like Grayson Allen not to be 1 for 8 to start a game in shooting, because that's a death knell. You need your defense to play at a much higher caliber, to help you be able to win. Jalen Green's part of it, but him missing tonight wasn't the only reason why that pendulum swung so vastly.
Yeah, the thing for me was the defense, though, because we talked about it in the pregame show that it's not a team that should be going up against other teams in the half court time after time after time. If they're spending a lot of time in the half court, that means that their defense isn't getting the job done. And that's exactly what the difference in the game was. First 5 or 6 minutes, they were active defensively. They were the more physical team. They set the tone, which is one of the keys, starting with the defense. Middle of the quarter comes, maybe the late end of the middle towards the back end of it. Harden gets going, and it's because of slips in coverage and just generally not being sharp with their defense. Also, a ton of offensive rebounds conceded at the end of the first quarter in particular, too. Those are realms that they just don't have the margin to not be dictating to their opponents with this roster.
From your IBs, you look at the game in a very specific way. Was there a flaw in the defense in terms of guarding the three-point shooting, or was this just a case of the Clippers just shooting unworldly from deep at one point in this game?
It was the rebounding, honestly, because I can't remember how many they got in the first quarter, but they were out rebounding the Suns and off on the offensive boards especially too. If you give a team with those type of shot makers multiple shots on goal, it's not going to work in your favor.
I know we're talking about the defense and Jalen Green, and I do think that these are all things that we can expand on more and touch on more, but honestly, the story of tonight, and I think the thing that we need to spend a lot of time right now talking about, is Devin Booker's game. Because Devin Booker ended the game with 18 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds. Okay, for most NBA players, that's a pretty decent night. For Devin Booker, it's not good enough. He was shot 10 times this game. He was 5 of 10 from the field. He only had 5 attempts in the first half. Devin Booker is the best player on this team, bar none, especially when Jalen Green is not out there in the lineup. And through all the deficiencies the Suns had in guarding and rebounding and the other team getting hot, this team will go nowhere this season. Nowhere if Devin Booker takes 5 shots per half. That simply can't be the case. Dillon Brooks took more shots than him. Grayson Allen took more shots than him. Royce O'Neal took more shots than him. And Colin Gillespie took more shots than him. Devin Booker's got to put his foot on the gas pedal, and he's got to push it all the way down off rip. I know he likes making the smart and the right play, but right now the right play is for him to shoot the damn basketball.
Well, yeah, you can't have him take only a ninth of your shots in a game. They had 90 shots. He took 10. I agree with you on that front. I also know that it feels like he's early on trying to get other guys involved. And that doesn't bother me early in a season. I understand the value in trying to gain confidence, but yes, there needs to be some point where he just takes over and says, okay, other guys, it's not working real well right now. I'm gonna go into that overdrive mode and score. But okay, he had 18 tonight. He had 31 in game one. I'm not gonna overreact in either way right now after 2 games about Devin Booker. And in no way, I've seen a lot of, oh, this is because they don't have a point guard. It's the point book problem. It's not that. We need to get that out of our mind. I know we were so conditioned in Phoenix to care so deeply about point guards because it was so much of the identity of this franchise, but there are not real point guards in the NBA anymore. It's about multiple people that can initiate offense. I'm learning from you, CNC. And that's what it's about. This was just about not picking his situations well enough tonight, not being aggressive enough early in the game. And by the time he was in that third quarter, it was already too late.
That's the that's the part where when you don't have a traditional point guard, you see some of the flaws with some guys because it's not easy to be a game manager while also wearing the hat of a primary scorer. That's what made Chris Paul who he was. That's what made, obviously, James Harden the player he was. Steve Nash to different extents. Those are 3 different types of primary ball handlers, but 3 of the best at wearing that scorer, playmaker mentality, wearing both of those hats in limbo over the course of games. But I do agree that Devin has to take more shots. But I also acknowledge the part that there's a process to it. There's a build-up to it. And when you're in these foundational days, you're getting your offense established, you're defining roles. No one has a question about what his role is. Other guys are trying to figure out where they can fit into the system that they're running. So if he's coming in and he's just taking every shot that's available, obviously no one's going to bat an eye at it. But what's the domino effect from that? Are you kind of setting the tone for everybody else to kind of pick up off of over the course of the season? Or is this just going to be it and there's no change in that? And that's my thing.
And I get what you're saying, right? Devin Booker doesn't need to be a complete ball hog and never pass the ball again.
I'm not saying a ball hog either, though. But what I'm getting at is if he's coming off of all of these screens and he's taking a pull-up midi or a pull-up 3 every single time, when they have this spacing concept that's opening guys to take specific shots and they're being preached to trust the pass, obviously there's a balancing act that has to take place with it. But if you don't lean into the trust the pass part first and then start to get to your own, they're going to be trying to figure out, okay, if he's not buying into it, then why are we going to buy into it?
Nobody's saying crap if Grayson Allen hits like 5 of those shots that he missed, and this game is closer in that first half, especially in that second quarter. Like, if that's the principle of the offense, I agree. You got to try to stick with it. But I think there was a point where it turned and he had to be more aggressive. Late in that second quarter, when it felt like things were starting to get away, then I'm okay with him taking over, and it didn't feel like that clicked in.
No, it gets to a certain point, right, where especially when you're down, when the Clippers are making a run, and I understand part of that was when he wasn't on the court, your star player just needs to put his stamp on the game and do more. I understand that people need to fit in their roles, and they're figuring stuff out. Listen, Devin Booker is my favorite basketball player of all time. Devin Booker is going to be fine. Like, he is not going to be a major problem this season. But the thing is, we talked all summer about this is the first time in Devin Booker's prime. This is year 11 and the first time on a team where he is actually in his physical prime that he is the clear-cut number 1 guy, number 1 option, which means every single night you know that you're going to need Devin Booker to score in the 26 to 35-point range for you to have a shot, let alone win a game against a good team on the road. He's got to just take more shots. Like, it's look, you look at Anthony Edwards took 20 shots tonight. Minnesota still lost by 18. You look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry took 22 shots tonight as Golden State lost by 20. When stars are down and their back is against the wall and they have the talent that Devin Booker has, because he's got that talent, there needs to be a point where you're like, look, I get that the right pass now is to pass to this guy and pass to that guy. But I'm Devin MFing Booker, and I need to take this damn shot. You can't take 5.5, man.
Okay,
you just can't.
I get that. But also, if he played in the fourth, if it was slightly closer, he has 25 points. He shoots He shoots 16, 17 times. Like,
but it wasn't close in part because he wasn't taking shots early on in the game, and the Clippers got hot, and then the game was out of hand.
I get it.
By that point,
it's a delicate balance with all that. It is a delicate balance with all that, because I agree. Like I said, at some point in that second quarter, you need to take over. But early on, if he's trying to stay within this offense early in the season and try to set up other guys, I get it. Would I like him to be first quarter book that we got to know and love? Yeah, I would. But also, you talk about us saying, this is the year that he's the man. Well, part of being the man is being the guy that's setting the tone and leading. And part of that is sometimes as that leader, you have to try to get other people involved, because the only way that they're going to win is if everybody finds that place as a team. Could he have kept it closer? Yeah, they still probably lose if it's just Devin Booker chucking shots, and still probably lose by 15 at that point, because at some point he's going to need all those teammates that he's trying to get involved. And if early on he just says, you know what, it's my show and I'm just doing it myself, you're going to alienate all those guys too.
And there's a managing of the game that comes with, if you're playing to that. You throw a couple of skip passes, you make a couple of passes early in the game to set the parameter, to set the terms of play for later on. If let's just say a team is double teaming him or they're aggressively switching against him, but he's not making passes early in the game, why would a help defender feel like they're going to need to make an extra rotation and not just wait a beat longer to shrink the floor on him if he hasn't shown that he's willing to make a pass early in the game? There's trickle-down effect from it. One of the plays I'm thinking about, Devin Booker had the ball in his hands more in the first quarter in today's game than he did at any point in the first game. He was on the ball more than he was off it in today's game compared to the first one. If he's coming off of these screens and he's not making an extra pass to Grayson, who kind of cuts underneath and gets a wide open look on the other side of where Devin Booker was coming from, if he's not making that pass early, then the defense is not going to pay any attention to anybody else that's off it. And what is that going to do? Now all of a sudden we're going to hear the conversations about, oh my God, the spacing. Oh my God, he needs help. But it's about how you're kind of leaning and playing into the game. There's a setup effect to it. If he's making that pass early, defenses are going to be a little bit more susceptible to staying off of crashing the space for him. That's going to give him a little bit more space to work with.
Ayrton, where do you stand on this? We need another voice.
I was going to say really quick. It's like a quarterback that can run.
Yeah.
If you're a quarterback that can run, are you using your legs right away, or are you setting it up by a pass all game to where it's the fourth quarter and now all of a sudden you break containment? And everybody's, oh, man, he's been passing it all game. I got to stay in coverage. And now he takes off across the line of scrimmage, and it's to Patrick Mahomes where he picks up a first down.
Real quick, to that point, though, I feel like it's reversed. I feel like this is a guy who should be passing the ball, like in the football sense. Like, and he's running it every time. Like, he's not doing the thing he's best at. He's a fantastic facilitator. The dude is the best at putting the ball in the bucket and setting the tone, and it's what he needs to do. Ayrton, what do you think?
I think we saw a good example of what I think you guys want Booker to be with James Harden in the second quarter. If Booker gets into his rhythm early instead of trying to facilitate to his teammates, he has a chance to go 4 for 4 from 3 and shoot one from almost half court and knock it down. I think we all know Book can do that. So I think I said it in the chat. With this squad, he's got to set the tone early and then take a back seat once the Firehouse gets a rhythm.
And that's the thing. When I say this stuff, and I think with your guys' responses, I don't like fully disagree with you guys to where it seems like what y'all are responding with is, hey, he's got to get other guys involved. He can't just be the only guy on there. They're not going to win games. I agree. But the thing is, Devin Booker has to be the one that goes first, or at least he has to do that in games like this. Listen, you can't be outshot by Dillon Brooks every half, man. You just can't. It's Devin Booker. We know he's going to make the right pass. We know he's going to get his teammates involved. If somebody's wide open, he's going to pass them the ball. But there were multiple opportunities in that first quarter, in that first half, where he could have shot the ball, and he didn't. He is the superstar of this team, and he can make it.
If he took those and he missed them, you're sitting here complaining that, oh my gosh, Devin Booker was being a ball hog and is like,
I'll go down with the ship.
There's no way to win.
I will go down with the ship with Devin Booker shooting shots on this team. He's the best player on this team. He is bar none the best offensive option. You live with him taking double-digit shots and a half over anybody else on this roster. That, like, I get what you're saying. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But now I'm saying he's passing the ball and they're missing. It's a make or miss league. He still has to do that with a better balance. He doesn't need to lean fully into one way, but he cannot just take 5 shots on the fact of if he took more, he might miss it, and then he's a ball hog.
No, but I agree he needs to take more, but I don't want him just going into full I'm chucking mode every time because I'm the best guy on the court. That's not going to be an effective way to run this either, especially when Jordan Ott's trying to establish his offense. And we're acting like he didn't just drop 31 points in game 1 on Wednesday night on 19 shots. This guy can score and score effectively still and do it within the system. And yeah, he needed to take over in that second quarter, but I don't need to see him be the only guy pulling up early on. Like, I don't need to see that. Do I need to see Dillon Brooks shoot a little less? Yeah. But I think that'll naturally happen when Jalen Green's the guy coming in on there too. Like, there's a balance. So
I think this is a good conversation, and I think we all want the same thing, which is
I don't know if we do.
I think we do.
I don't know if we do.
I think it's pretty clear you want something different.
Okay, well, here's the thing, and
we're not getting off of this stage.
Oh, I'm not getting off of anything. I'm doubling down and I'm bunkering down because I think that I'm right about this, and we can keep going right after our first break. One thing I know we can all agree upon is that Rally House is the go-to shop for all your favorite local Arizona team gear, with tens of thousands of products to shop from in Tempe, Mesa, and Glendale today. And also, it's not just in person, but it's online. Hundreds of pages and pages and pages of all your local sports teams gear. I see stuff at Rally House that I don't see anywhere else, and I'm always keeping an eye out for the latest, freshest Arizona sports gear. It's everything. It's not just shirts and shorts and hats, but it's drinkware, signage, coolers, socks. Hell, they even have sunscreen at Rally House. And every time you visit Rally House, you're guaranteed to find something new, unique, and that matches your game day vibes. Whether it's Suns, D-backs, Cardinals, ASU, U of A, anything that you need here locally in the Valley, you can find it at your favorite local Rally House location or shop their entire product assortment online at www.rallyhouse.com today.
I have told this story before, but growing up, my favorite thing was to get something called Papa's Bingo money. My grandfather used to be a big player when it came to the lottery. You would get scratch tickets, and when he'd win, he'd send his grandchildren the winnings. We'd split it between us. And right now, the Arizona Lottery has amazing holiday scratchers and scratchers in general that you can pick up because tis the season for over $80 million in prizes. My grandfather never won that much. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here with you two. But it's amazing. And there are 6 festive scratchers to choose from, including Cash Countdown, which has prizes up to $250,000, and Candy Cane Cash, which smells just like peppermint. So not only can you win, you can make your house smell a little bit nicer as well. Plus, you can dash to instant prizes with holiday fast play tickets. And when it comes to holiday gifts, holiday scratchers are the best place to start. Easy and affordable. They're made for gifting, whether it's a white elephant exchange, a stocking stuffer, or just because. There's always a chance your little gift could be worth millions. So make sure to get your scratchers today where Arizona Lottery tickets are sold. Love the play, because we do.
Yeah, love the play, and we'll get to our favorite play of the game later. And I think this is good hoop talk, and if you want to come have some good hoop talk with us in person, make sure you stop by Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass Monday as the Phoenix Suns take on the Utah Jazz. Tip off at 6, pregame show at 5:30. We'll get there before that if you want to hang out and talk before our pregame show, and then we could watch the game together, and we'll do our postgame show from Wild Horse Pass. Go PHNX.com/events to RSVP for free. We'll get to a couple super chats here in a second. Listen, I hear what you guys are saying about you don't want to lean too far into one thing. Mm-hmm. And I think where I am being misunderstood in this conversation from you guys is that I'm saying Devin Booker needs to shoot the ball more and needs to be more aggressive. That by no means it means that Devin Booker won't look to get others involved, won't look to make the right play and do the right thing. That is one of the best things about his game. My thing is, you can go and make the right pass off the beginning, and if somebody's hitting shots, that's great. But there should be no world where the right play for Devin Booker is to shoot the ball 5.5 times.
No, I agree.
And it's like,
we both agree with that.
But what I'm saying is, this is something that for him, where he was playing with Katie and he was playing with Beal, and it was like that was the reason for it, right? It was okay. He's deferring to other guys. He's making the right play. Devin Booker's making the right play, making the right play. Listen, the right play right now is for Devin Booker to be your offensive engine and to make defenses react to that. Your point about, well, if he's not hitting somebody on the pass, defenses aren't going to respect it. If Devin Booker has 15 points in a quarter, if Devin Booker is actually shooting the ball more than 5.5 times, hell, I'll have him shoot it 10.5 times. Dillon Brooks does. If he's doing that, defenses react to that 10 times more than making the pass.
You can't compare his shots to Dillon's, though, Eric.
He needs a little bit of what Dillon got. He needs a little bit of it. A little bit of that I don't give a fuck attitude.
No, you can't compare the two. For one, they're playing two completely different roles. They're okay with Dillon shooting shots. They're not okay with Devin Booker shooting shots. The other part of it, too, when is Dillon taking his shots? Is he taking his shots after he comes off of a screen, or he's working in one-on-one in isolation, or is he getting it after Devin Booker's done 1 or 2 or 6 different things? They're in the middle or late in the shot clock, and somebody's got to put up a shot. And in the starting lineup that they have right now, the only other person that can go and create their own shot is Dillon Brooks.
I think
you can't compare his shots to Devin's because they're not taking them in even close to the same context.
The thing I take umbrage with what you just said was you harken back to last year. Devin Booker averaged 20. He was a top 10 scorer and a top 10 assist guy
in an off year.
So, in a quote unquote off year.
He's an awesome basketball player.
In a year that you're claiming he deferred. Like, this is we're looking at a microcosm of one game that was a rarity, that he only shot 5 shots, and I think we all agree that he needed to shoot more of them. I just don't want to see him become a chucker that's just shooting shots because he feels like he has to be the guy that's just only doing that. He needed to take over in that second half of the second quarter and do what we saw him do in that stretch in the third quarter, where it was getting that rhythm and take one after another when he got to his spot. This was a weird night, a different night in terms of the way it went, and I'm not gonna freak out over this one when we saw him score 31 in the other night on Wednesday, right? Like, this is a weird game that they got the doors blown off of them, and nothing seemed to work particularly right the way you wanted it, including the amount of shots that Devin Booker took.
The Suns got back in the game against the Kings for a variety of reasons, but one of those is Devin Booker said, all right, it's my time now. Like,
did he?
He did. In the second half compared to the first half, he absolutely did. In the second half compared to the first half. He deferred in the first half. And again, that was a time where the Suns then got down. The Suns, like you mentioned, Steven, can't afford to be playing from behind. And if you're going to be down 15 to 20 points, you're going to need Devin Booker to shoot you out of that hole. But the only way to not get in there is, like, your best player just needs to do a little bit more. I think Devin Booker is going to be fine. I think he's a fantastic basketball player. I probably have him higher in the NBA, like top 10, top 15 than everybody in this room right now. But that's why the standard that I'm holding him to is extraordinarily high. I get into this whenever I talk about the best athletes in the world. He needs to be held to a higher standard.
One of the reasons he's a top 15 player in the league is because he passes the ball, though, too. Like, it's not because he just goes out there and he's a volume shooter. The reason he's become that is because he's been efficient at shooting and he's developed the ability to distribute the ball. So you can't ignore one and just be like he needs to be a chucker. That's why he's a top guy.
And that's
in
not
the
what
league.
I'm saying. I've never once said that. I said he needs to do more of that. I never said he needs to ignore the other side of it, and said that multiple times. I think, and Sean said it, I think we are closer than what this conversation is showing, but the way that we're communicating it, like, isn't clicking. Because, again, we both know he has to do both, and he has to shoot more.
Now I feel like I'm back in couples counseling. You're talking about communication. Let's move on to another topic, and we can argue about that.
Let's talk about another DB.
I'll say lastly, again, Devin Booker his claim to what the status that he's established in the league is that he's one of few players that can get you 30 points a game, but also get you 10 assists with 4 or less turnovers, while demanding all of the attention of the defense, and do this picking you apart on a possession-by-possession basis. What was it, 2 years ago against the Golden State Warriors? They're in Golden State, and he has like 30-something, like 14 or 15 assists, and everybody's like, oh my God, he's such a good kind of manipulator of the game. You can't be a manipulator of the game if you're leaning only into one or the other. So the overarching point, which I said before I spoke to anything about the process of playmaking, yes, he needs to take more shots, but he also has to make certain passes to get to that point. But also, which Espo brought up, fourth quarter, he didn't play. That's 10 to 12 minutes potentially that he just didn't play, that he couldn't get shots on goal. So if he ends up with 19 shots on goal, he took 10 today. If he takes 9 in the fourth quarter, are you still batting the eye at his shot profile?
I think my argument is he would have probably played the fourth quarter if he did a little bit more earlier in the game.
No, then not, and that's my whole thing right there, because this game was not lost because he wasn't taking shots. I already pointed out the inflection point in the first quarter. The defense was at a point that it wasn't at after the halfway point of the first quarter throughout the rest of the game. That's where the game was lost in tandem with them losing their effort on the margins. When you lose that, it doesn't matter how many shots Devin Booker is taking if James Harden has 30 and Kawhi Leonard has 27 in addition to that. And then someone else on the Clippers has 14 or 15. They're not built to withstand teams playing games on their terms. If the Suns aren't playing games on their terms, are you still okay with Devin Booker taking 25, 30 shots?
I think no matter what the Suns do, they need to play on their terms. They're not an extraordinarily talented team compared to a team like the Clippers, who have an extraordinarily high payroll. The thing is, they need to play within themselves. They need to play great defense. That's a huge part of why they lost today. And Devin Booker.
That's the biggest reason.
And both of those things can be true at the same time. It's not an exclusive
I don't
one or the
think
other
that's
thing.
the context for this game, man. I don't think that's the context for this game at all. We just got done watching 48 minutes of them playing to their identity, 7 or 8 minutes of that. And the rest of the game wasn't played on their identity. So how can it be contextualized as Devin Booker has to take more shots when we just watched them not be able to contain the ball? So James Harden is coming off of pick and rolls, getting whatever he wants. We talked about it on the live stream. You can't let him be a playmaker and a scorer. It has to be one or the other, and you would rather him take more shots than be setting people up. But to the point, while we're having this conversation, what was James Harden doing early in the game? He's coming off of pick and rolls, testing the depths of their coverage, and he's making skip passes to who? Derrick Jones Jr., who's doing what? Knocking down threes. You can't get to having Kawhi with 30, Kawhi with 27, James Harden with 30, and then Derrick Jones Jr. scoring double digits, knocking down multiple threes. If James Harden, your primary ball handler, is not willing to test the depths of the coverages that he's seeing by making the pass, and that setting the tone for him to then also, okay, now y'all are worried about me making the skip pass. Now I can hit Zubac on the roll. Now you're worrying about Zubac getting hit on the roll. Guess what? If that big is not up at the screen, now my pull-up three is there. There's a domino effect to when you're at the helm of an offense, to where if you're not pulling the strings in the succession that the game is asking for you to pull it to, your offense as a whole is not going to be it. When you're at the helm of an offense, it's not about you doing your thing. You have to orchestrate the entire opera. And if you're not doing it that way, that's going to come back to you a whole lot more than you just simply not taking enough shots at certain times.
Yeah, I just feel like this is you're looking at a very small moment in a very long season, and this game again was a very weird game in the way things went. If this becomes a pattern, then it's a problem. But I also don't want to see Devin Booker start shooting 25, 30 shots a game because you think that that's just some way to get out of problems. I want Devin Booker to be Devin Booker. I want Devin Booker to be an efficient scorer. 31 points on 19 shots, 7 assists. Like, that's going to be your path to win mixed with good defense. But right now, odd game. We all agree. Could have taken more shots starting in that second quarter when things started to slip, to try to stem the tide offensively when guys like Grayson were missing and weren't connecting on those shots. But this is not a problem. This is a simple moment in time that I think we'll look back and go, weird game.
And
I mean,
this is
yeah,
why I say it's not a must-win game. There's too much learning.
But what I'm
right
saying is, I'm talking about this game right now. We only have 2 games to go off of,
Mhm.
and in both those games, through the good and the bad, we're going to analyze and talk about that.
Yeah,
and then there's the rest of the season to prove patterns and stuff. But it still happened in a game. It still happened in front of my eyes. I'm still going to talk about.
And like Steven said, this was not. I don't think this is in my top 3 reasons why this team lost like this tonight.
Not for me.
No, and again, people are saying somebody tell Eric the Suns lost by 30. Yeah, and they lost by 30 for a large variety of reasons. We'll move off of Book, and I get it. I do think it's a very interesting conversation. I'm very curious what all of you say in chat, and of course, let us know on Twitter too what you guys think. Your comment about Harden, I agree. You set it up and go and you make passes. By no means am I saying balls tipped, Devin Booker go shoot 5 shots off rip and see what happens, right? But the difference between what James Harden did and what Devin Booker did was, yes, James Harden's teammates were hitting shots. That was A difference with making the pass. But also B, when Harden had the opportunity and had the go-ahead, he put his mark on this game offensively from a scoring perspective, whether it was driving and drawing fouls, which of course he's fantastic at, and he got the Suns' best defenders in foul trouble, or whether it was that second quarter onslaught where he was just firing away from 3. The thing was, he pulled the strings, and Devin Booker can pull the strings. But once they were pulled, they did 2 different things. Devin continued to pull one way, and James Harden shifted and put the pressure on the other way. Devin Booker is just as talented in doing that. And if we're talking big picture, yeah, for this team to be as good as they possibly could be, Book has to know when to hit that gear and when to flip that gear and never ignore the other one. It's one game. I think he'll be fine. I think he's a borderline top 10 player in the league. And I think on any given night, he could play like a top 5 player in the league. Guys like that got to play better than he did tonight. And I think he will. I think all of these things I think that we're saying can be true at the same exact time.
Can I be like Brian Gregory and try to get us in alignment here?
Please.
Patrick in the chat says, Rocket fans clowning Booker in their space, LMAO. Hey, Houston, how about you worry about your 0-2 dumpster fire right now and leave us to our own problems, all right? If you're making fun of Book, you're missing the entire storyline that you should be looking at there.
I think Sandman contextualized it all well. It's early. Not worried about it. Now, to Esco's point, if it's happening 30 games in, then that's different. I think the other part of it as well is no Jalen Green.
Mm-hmm.
That changes the psyche of someone that's at the helm of an offense if you don't have your Robin to your Batman. Now it's more pressing that you lean more into one than you usually would. That's a conversation for when we actually get to see Jalen with the team, but I imagine it comes back up again at some point this season.
Sure. And again, and part of my thinking is if you're without Jalen, wouldn't that, in I guess theory, push you towards shooting the ball more because hey, like I love Dillon Brooks. We're gonna talk about Dillon Brooks right here in a second, but like that is right now your second offensive weapon here, and the guy who's leading the Suns in shot attempts for the season is Dillon Brooks. If you are Devin Booker and like, hey, I don't have Jalen Green and I don't have Mark Williams starting, right? Oso, I love Oso, but as far as scoring goes, he's not a massive threat on offense. He's a play finisher, and even then he still has work to do, right? You don't have another really big shot creator there when Jalen Green is out. Doesn't that mean that at least he should be pushing that pedal a little bit more than what we've been seeing? And again, I'm open to hearing what you have to say, and I don't outright disagree with what either of you have to say. But just to me, that's how I see it, as if Green's out, the same way that when KD's out, it's like, Book's got to do more tonight. Book's got to score more tonight.
What are we? I think we've lost the plot here because he scored 31 in game 1. Like, we're not talking about a guy who had 5 points in game 1.
Sure.
No, let's say it this way. 2 points in game 1 and 6 points in game 2, like the dead cap space has for the Clippers. Like, we're talking about a guy that scored 31, had 18, and only playing 28 minutes tonight. This is just a weird argument we've gotten into. I think we have completely lost the plot.
All I'm saying is
point.
We can go back to that watch along, especially in that first half, and we could talk about both times you and I were both saying, Devin Booker's deferring a little too much right now.
So I've said in that second quarter he should have taken more shots.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just not freaking out about
our dude of the night presented by...
Hold on. One more thing. What? The chat code, I wish we kept Butler.
That's crazy. That's the craziest thing we could be saying right now.
He could have taken Jordan Goodwin's minutes
Sean with a good comment said, I
Anyways.
think the watch along is what's doing this to y'all. We just talk for 6 hours straight at this point.
Cats are assholes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get to our Dude of the Night, presented by Gila River Resorts Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playedgila.com for more details. It is the other DB, Dillon Brooks, continuing to be a tone setter on defense, literally clapping mid-possession, and not afraid to take shots on offense. Team high 22 points. Oh, that was the first game. Not 22 points for
21.
Dillon Brooks tonight. 20 points tonight. What have you liked from Dillon Brooks through 2 games now, Steven?
It's the mentality. I think that part is something that's very important for this Suns team. You call it an enforcer, you call it a leader. I just call it a dog. And a dog is somebody that's not just someone that does it for themselves, but they do it to not necessarily inspire, because guys don't need to be motivated when you're playing to that level, but it just becomes contagious. Maybe he finds opportunities to press buttons that other guys maybe haven't yet, that then gets them to doing that. And now his efforts multiply into 4 other players on the court that are with him. I think we see that in moments. That first quarter, we saw it for sure. He was taking shots on offense. He's making the rotations and playing with the activity and getting into many scuffles with players on the other team in intentional ways to raise the competition level of his teammates. And we saw the first half of the first quarter that we did because of that. Now, obviously, it's hard to do that for a full 48 minutes against a team that's built like the Clippers are, but that tone that they set was in part to Dillon Brooks doing what he does best as a tone setter.
For me, it's just that simple, crazy smile when he's obviously getting under somebody's skin. Like, again, we know that this team's going to have nights like this, but Dillon Brooks is consistent in how he plays defense, how hard-nosed he is. And again, yeah, would I like him not to shoot 17 shots? Sure. But he was 5 of 10 from deep.
Yeah.
I mean, He went out there, he did his part. He did what he could, but defense is a 5-guy thing, right? And not just one guy trying really hard. Tonight, the rest of the defense wasn't there, but he did the things that should help you to win when everything else is clicking. So.
Dillon Brooks is already one of my favorite Suns players that I've watched, simply because I don't think anybody's made me like laugh and smile more in 2-game stretch than Dillon Brooks has, through the crazy, because yeah, there is some craziness with Dillon Brooks, the shot attempts, the kind of disregard for like, ooh, should you be doing that right now? But also he just hits big shots. And in this game, it was early, right? Like the Suns needed him to hit shots early, and he set the tone early. And then on the same side, defensively, he is just not afraid of anybody, even if he has fouls that are already picked up, even if the other guy is hot. Like DeMar DeRozan was hot, Dillon Brooks didn't care. Dillon Brooks is in his face. He's getting in him. James Harden is hot. Dillon Brooks doesn't care. He's in him. But I think the underrated thing about all of this, Steven, is that he is an extraordinarily smart defensive player, knowing when to go and trap somebody on a double team, knowing when to switch, knowing when to give somebody space or get up in their space, literally defending somebody with just his chest out and not using his hands because he already has 5 personal fouls picked up. The dude is one of the smartest defensive basketball players I've ever seen.
He's a very good defender. And it's not just the antics, and it's not just the being overly physical at times. He understands what he's doing, and he understands the process of that. He's not just out there doing stuff. He knows that if he gets under the skin of James Harden or DeMar DeRozan or Kawhi Leonard early, it has a lingering effect over the course of the game, and that effect might not hit to the fourth quarter. Maybe it just ends up turning into 2 missed shots for that guy that he typically would make because of the physicality and him being worried about talking with officials. And that ultimately leads to the possession battle, which usually is in favor for the Suns. Now they're going to get a bucket on the other end. He understands what he's doing, and that's a great skill. It's not spoken on as if it's one, but it's certainly one for the people that know how to use it over the course of a game. But the other part for me, and Roger brings up half of the point I'm bringing, somebody's got to take other shots. Somebody else got to be able to create shots in most of the lineups that they're using when Devin Booker is on, but even when he's off. Dillon's not someone that's shy about taking shots. That's half of it. The other half of it for me too is if you put a suppressor on Dillon Brooks' shot attempts, how do you get to the makes for him? Because if he's taking less, that's going to play into his psyche. And the last thing you need for the Suns is another player that is not being aggressive or aggressive to the extent that you might hope for, because they only have but so many shot creators. You don't have really space for people to be passing up shots. Watched in the first half, something we haven't talked about yet, Royce O'Neal passing up threes. Now, he made up for it later on in the game, but passing up shots that lead into turnovers, passing up shots that lead into bad shots, which are as good as a turnover because it springboards the opponents into transition. So you can say what you want about the shot selection, but I'm not mad at Dillon taking shots because someone has to outside of Devin Booker.
Especially in the starting lineup when you want Ryan Dunn taking those shots.
Especially off the dribble, no.
Do you want Oso Ighodaro being the guy to take those shots?
That's not in his bag.
Tonight, Grayson wasn't hitting anything. So, of course, it's going to fall in there. And I get it. You want Book to take more. I understand that. But tonight, I would have rather him taken more of Grayson's shots than what Dillon did. So, yeah, again, weird for sure. So
yeah, I agree. More people got to take shots in that starting lineup. We're a little overrun here. I got carried away with the book talk and everything. We're going to talk about everybody else. We saw the Rooks as well. We're going to do it after this break. If you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, well, I highly recommend Branded Bills. Look at that hat on Espo's head right there. That is our brand on Branded Bills. That is our own custom PHNX hat that you can actually get on our locker right now. But the best part about Branded Bills isn't just the fact that you can get your own logo on it. It's what you are getting your logo on. I'm talking about snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, and tees. They have you covered with performance and style. Espo, I know I wear my Branded Bills hats about every day, and I wear them a lot. I've seen you wear that hat a ton.
I've worn 2 different Branded Bills hats today.
That's massive. You also worn 2 different pairs of shoes, but that hat looks just as good as it did on day one because there is no deterioration when it comes to Branded Bills. It is solid, it is well made, it is dependable, and they also have partnerships with 40 universities, including, of course, reigning Big 12 champion Arizona State University. They also partner with the Phoenix Suns. I know you have a Phoenix Suns Branded Bills hat that I'm very jealous of. You can only get those at the arena. They're a local company, and we love supporting local, so head to brandedbills.com. Use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order.
I'll tell you about our friends over at Bet365. It's never ordinary. Doesn't matter what the moment is. It's never ordinary with our friends at Bet365. And you should do what over 90 million people worldwide have done. Become a member at Bet365 because they pioneered live in-game betting, and you're going to want to get in on the action because in a game like tonight where it was a little boring in that second half, you can find ways to make it a little bit more interesting. And today, right now, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting. 78 sports. I couldn't tell you what 78 sports are, but apparently they have them, and you can get in on the action with them. And right now, you can get a payout early, especially if you're watching the World Series. Like you may have flipped from the Suns game tonight. You can do that with Bet365. When your team goes up 5 runs, you're going to win instantly if you bet on that money line. So breaking news from Bet365, news customers get $200 in bonus bets when you lose or bet $5, win or lose. Sign up using the promo code PHNX 365, deposit 10 and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and whatever the moment. It's never ordinary with Bet365. Must be 21 and over. Physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT up to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
Charles Peterson, for the first time, I agree with what you're saying. He says, go Blue Jays.
I knew you was going to say that.
We are an anti-Dodgers organization over here. Thank you all so much for spending your late Friday night with us here. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will continue to be here pregame, postgame shows for all the Suns games this season, plus watch-alongs. We'll take a little break from watch-alongs tomorrow, give ourselves a little chance to breathe as the Suns take on the Nuggets. So we've talked Devin Booker, we've talked Dillon Brooks off the bat, we talked about defense in this game as a whole. Steven, where do you feel like we need to go to next as far as to tell the story about the Suns' loss tonight?
I feel like this is the team that is still not fully healthy, and that's the big thing for me. Mark Williams was okay. Honestly, closer to good than he was okay in the first game. And today, it was a step back. It's kind of ebb and flow as he's working his way back into playing actual games. Obviously, the Jalen Green of it all is the elephant in the room because he just literally hasn't played in a single game for this team yet. it's going to be hard to gauge and assess what they have and who they truly are with these things going on. And again, for a team that doesn't have any margin for error, as we spoke to coming into the season, if those guys aren't around in the capacity that they should be, or at all in the case of Jalen Green, it's just not an accurate gauging and assessing of this team at this present moment. Obviously, they're not going to be on the level of the Clippers, but I believe firmly that anybody can be beat any given night. But when you're up against injury adversity and you're going up against a talent deficit, that makes a lot of things an uphill battle that's far too steep to climb sometimes.
I think it's going to be interesting to see if Mark Williams plays tomorrow.
For sure.
To back. You only played 14 minutes tonight, so you had a short leash there, especially when you didn't play any of your main guys in the fourth quarter. But you're right. You don't really know what you're going to get out of him because of this minutes restriction. You don't have Jalen Green, so your rotations aren't even normal right now. So it's tough to fully gauge what's going on. But again, simply for me, this just came down to not hard enough defense tonight, not trying hard enough on that defensive end. We saw in that second quarter, Royce O'Neal in particular fall asleep on multiple things. There was the first play, I think one of the first defensive plays he was out there. You had Derrick Jones Jr. No, it was Chris Dunn in the corner. Yep. And Royce was near the paint with his back to him, didn't pay him any attention, and Dunn crashed the boards and got a bucket. And it's those little things, those lapses in defense, those small things that will take this team down because you don't have much margin for error. And defensively, in particular, you don't, especially when you're going against a team like the Clippers, who a Kawhi Leonard, a James Harden can get going. So if you're letting the other guys get easy buckets because you're not actually putting forth the effort on defense or thinking through things well enough, you will not be able to win, especially against good teams.
And we talked about this team is going to be a team that wins on the margin. So let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers and how they didn't do that tonight. Presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes.
Yeah, you look at the Suns side of things, and you're seeing comprehensively just not enough. 23 assists on 37 field goals made. Not probably going to get it done unless that means that Devin Booker or Jalen Green did a lot of self-creating and scored in high volume off of their self-created opportunities. You want to see that assist total a whole lot closer to that field goals made number. Similarly, that percentage from the field is not going to get it done on most nights for the Suns either, especially when you look at the second to last number from the bottom, and you see that they also got out-rebounded. Now, that's one of the barometer stats to be watching for with the Suns all season long. If they're winning the rebounding margin and they're giving themselves a chance because that means that they're getting up an adequate amount of shots on goal that they need to offset some of the scoring talent that other teams might have that surpasses what they have. These are the fine margins that we're speaking to. And when you see that the Suns are behind in each and every one of these, that's a situation where they just don't have that margin for error.
Yeah, you can't lose the rebounding battle and lose the free throw battle by 11 and then wind up having fewer makes despite having, 14 more shots than your opponent? Yeah. That's a recipe for complete disaster for this team. You can't lose certain categories significantly. The little things will add up to become very big things for a Suns team like this.
Yeah, it's a tough teamed out rebound with Brook Lopez and Zubats there. I will also say 55% from deep for the Los Angeles Clippers tonight. Some of that was on the Suns, but realistically, they just got extraordinarily hot. I like the fact that the Suns took more threes than them. I like the Suns took more shots. The rebounding and the threes is definitely a tough one.
Other number for me that's not included with those, I got two of them. 26 fast break points from the Los Angeles Clippers. So I've detailed and will continue to detail the offensive rebound and defensive transition process for the Suns. Giving up 26 fast break points is not even close to what's in that process. It's supposed to be the flip side of that. The Suns should be the ones with 26 and only giving up 7. And then the other part, they only lost this one by 3, but 16 second chance points for the Clippers. they can't be conceding that when they're supposed to be rebounding to the extent that they desire. One more time, though, 52 points in the paint for the Clippers. That was the other one I was looking for. Not going to get it done.
This one's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
The Suns and the Clippers both made 16 threes tonight. Clippers shot 29 of them. The Suns shot 47 of them. That's problematic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
There was a good play of the night, and we'll tell you exactly what our favorite play was, and we'll do it after our final break. Maybe you want to cleanse what just happened tonight and you want to see a good team play sports. Well, go check out the ASU football game tomorrow and get your tickets on Game Time.
So you can see Houston play?
Yeah, so you can see the 6-1 Houston Cougars visit, of course, the reigning defending Big 12 champions, Arizona State University. But the thing is, Game Time is good for whatever you want to get tickets for, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey, live events like concerts, theater, stand-up comedy. Game Time is the best place to go. My favorite thing is that they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. I'm so cheap that I've actually tried this, and I cannot find cheaper tickets than Game Time. They also have fees included as well, so you're never surprised when you actually go to check out. You get views from your seats. They get Game Time favorites where they tell you the best spots, the best deals. There really is no better place to get your tickets than Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying college football, basketball, and any type of tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Mountain America Credit Union.
Yep.
Exclusive home of the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, you heard that right. And you can get a Phoenix Suns card whether you're looking for a credit card or a debit card. You can get it through our friends at Mountain America Credit Union. You can pair that Suns debit card with the MyStyle checking account to unlock extra benefits like telehealth. We work so much, that's the only way we can see doctors here. Loan rate discounts, mobile phone protection, and so much more. There's no annual fee either for these cards, and they're available at low rates, cashback or reward card options as well for their credit cards. They are second to none. Now, Mountain America is here to guide you forward on your financial journey. Get your Suns card today. Apply at any Arizona branch. Visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply, like everything in life. Loans on approved credit. I highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed if you become a member with Mountain America Credit Union.
Love Mountain America Credit Union. Love everybody hanging out with us on a Friday night. And also, I still love the Phoenix Suns. And I loved the play brought to you by our friends over at Arizona Lottery. Play and gift today. Espo, not a ton of highlights. What is our play of the night?
Well, I would say that it would be the fourth quarter of us just talking about nonsense on the watch along, but technically that does not qualify as a play. So I'm going to go with something that I also don't think technically should qualify as a play, but it does in the box score. Come on, BLOWOUT getting his very first NBA point at the free throw line. He made one of two. We'll just remember the first one because hopefully that is the first point in what will be an immensely fruitful career for the young man, and we'll look back on that in the future as something very special, even though it was a pretty abysmal night. So that is my love the play from our friends at Arizona Lottery.
Eric?
I mean, listen, love to see it from Come On BLOWOUT. We'll have more on what we saw from the rookies and maybe some more players we haven't talked about tonight, but we are going to do it in overtime. If you're watching on TV, the party always continues over at GoPHNX.com. Appreciate everybody who's still hanging out with us. Come On BLOWOUT got in the game, I think, a little late for my liking, but still glad that he could get out there and get some real game, real NBA reps. I think it's more about what we saw a little bit from Rasheer Fleming and his 9 minutes played, specifically as far as passing goes. Steven, he had a couple of looks that looked pretty good.
Yeah, Rasheer did a good job moving the ball. One pass off the short roll, another one in a different situation, but putting a pass where it needs to be, but with accuracy so that the person that's shooting, all they have to do is just lace it up and let it fly. And I think that part is important, especially for the role that he's likely going to be playing when his time does come, whether that's this season, next year, or the year after. It was very good to see him kind of lean into that because that's not something that we've really seen from him. play for me of the game was in the first quarter, the block that Dillon Brooks had on Zubac. I think Zubac was in the post against Iguodaro. And where Dillon wasn't in the most advantageous spot for this angle that he took. But he takes like 2 or 3 steps and anticipates where Zubac is trying to go with the ball in the post, meets him before he jumps and gets into his hook, and blocks the shot, and the Suns are on the break the other way. That's a very special defensive play. That's not one that many guys are making. And Dillon's not like some A-plus 99th percentile athlete. He's an above-average athlete, but to make that play, you have to be anticipatory, and we saw that on that play.
Since we're in overtime, can I say something controversial?
Like overtime ever. That's not the reason.
That's not the reason.
Yeah, get
You put your shoe in your mouth.
unless
again?
you're gonna use choice words that you use when using regulation.
I didn't say can I do something questionable. I said can I bring up something. Come on, Malawat should have shot more in that fourth quarter. I mean, if the Phoenix Suns want to win, come on, Malawat needs to be taking those shots.
He's got to set a tone.
Only having 0 attempts
That's not acceptable.
in that fourth quarter, in those minutes, is just not fair. It's not right, and he needs to be the guy that's taking this. I don't want him passing. I don't want him blocking shots.
Top 10 pick.
I want Kaman Malawat taking all those shots.
Now you're speaking my language, Espo. Top 10 pick. When will the excuses stop for Kaman?
5 minutes, 0 shots. I mean, heck, Jordan Goodwin had 2 shots in that time.
Unacceptable.
Kaman Malawat should have taken those, should have taken the 2 Rasheer Fleming had. I mean, heck, he should have just gone out there when he wasn't even checked in the game and started chucking.
Now you're spitting, brother. Now you're spitting.
Why is he even thinking about doing anything else out there on the court?
That's what I'm saying, man.
When the offense is running through that guy, he should be taking those shots.
I've been saying it. 100%.
Freckle, somebody ban Ayrton.
You got to do 2.
Why y'all doing that? No. Somebody ban Ayrton from the chat.
If only we kept Jared Butler instead of Kaman.
What is wrong with
Calvin
him?
says, so you guys are going to not talk about the refs. Suns got screwed all night by refs.
No, we're not talking about the refs.
The refs were bad.
We're not talking about the refs.
They were bad. That's the whole conversation, but they were bad.
That's it. Nope.
Hold on. Yeah, the refs sucked. The refs did not suck 27 points worth.
They did suck, though.
They sucked.
They deserve that an hour into the show. They sucked. That's it.
Okay.
And all they get is 15 seconds. That's it. We're not doing it.
Bro, chill. Give me chill, bro. Oh, my God.
You know what? He was because he didn't take those shots.
Oh, my God. Anyways. Do we want to talk about anybody else or are we going to get out of here? It's up to you guys.
What else?
Ryan Dunn? Ryan Dunn continues to rebound the ball
very well. Hey, Calvin, first of all, if you're going to use your, it's with an E at the end of that. It's not your. It's your, as in you are, not yours, and something belongs to me. So take that bass out your voice and watch how you talking about me in the chat.
By the way, Sean saying our handshake.
No, I'm just saying, if you're gonna do that, at least use proper.
I mean, you gotta get the grammar right.
Grammar. You got all these other different apps you can use to get your grammar right. At least use that, bro. Be better.
By the way, I also love that somebody said our handshake was. I hope that was sarcastic.
Handshake was not smooth.
That was nothing smooth about that.
I had no idea what he was doing there.
Yeah, that's
you had we had a handshake before this, and we did it. You're like, come on, dude, do the thing we practiced. I'm like, we didn't do one.
I do want to. Colin Gillespie, I did like his game. 13 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He did the little things. I mean, again, nothing was saving this tonight in that kind of an effort, but there were small things. That and then Nigel Hayes-Davis going 3 for 4, had 3 steals, 2 rebounds. Like, that's something you can build on. That's a confidence booster, even though you're in the fourth quarter of a crappy game. Maybe that carries over the next time he's in a late first quarter or in a second quarter, and all of a sudden you get a little bit of a snowball effect. Maybe that can help his game. But overall, man.
And the other thing I enjoyed in this one, and I know the defense wasn't to the level that it needed to be for it to have proven its worth, because they didn't contain the ball that well at points of attacking on the perimeter. But late first quarter and into the second quarter, the Suns got into their secondary players, the rotations, the firefighters, putting that group out there. And you're looking at who's being guarded by the Suns and the ways that they're going about doing it. I like the depth of versatility that they have with this group as a whole, but especially with the second unit. They're putting Nick Richards on non-shooters and allowing for Nigel to guard the centers in those second groups. that's something that they can use to their favor to force teams to turn the ball over or make them work later into the shot clock. Again, it didn't prove its worth today, but in this learning portion of the schedule, that's something that's going to benefit them going down the line.
Can we pull up the chat about the refs?
Calvin,
I've
never.
Hold on. It's IT''S, right? The refs. It's beyond soft.
Mm-hmm.
It is beyond soft.
And he's talking about being soft, but you want to cope with officiating being the reason the team lost.
That's what I'm saying. He's saying
bro,
someone who's scared and petrified to talk about the refs like they got a gun to your head. Bro, nobody's
Come on,
ever
man.
said, you're not talking about the refs,
Do
you
better.
soft piece of shit. That's
Do
literally
better.
what you're doing right now. What are you
Do better.
talking about, bro?
Let's go to conspiracy theory.
We're all uniting now. Let's go.
Let's
Do
go to
better.
conspiracy theory.
This is what we needed.
You want to say it's soft? Let me say this: the league's scripted. These refs are just following what they're told. The Suns know what's going on. The Clippers know what's going on. And guess what? We're part of the Illuminati. We know what's going on too. So we don't have to go after the refs because we've seen the script. We know, and that's what's been approved. So just Calvin, because you are not part of the inner circle that knows this, that just makes you soft because you haven't been invited in by the league. We know.
Nah.
We don't need to rip on the refs because we know this has all been predetermined and nothing matters. Ooh.
I've never in my life seen somebody so mad. Literally, like legit pissed off
You're
that people
soft,
don't talk
Steven.
about the refs.
You should take more shots
Yeah,
at the
they talk
refs
about-
early
yeah,
and often.
Take more shots at blaming the officials more than the team that lost by 20 some odd points.
Bro, what is going on?
You'll never see that out
This
of
is
me.
awesome. This is, bro, like, okay.
And by the way, somebody else corrected them in the chat too. My name is with a PH, not with a V.
Well, clearly spelling is not
so I
this dude's
shouldn't-
strong suit.
yeah, clearly
The roofs.
spelling is not it.
The roofs.
But-
Put it. The roofs. Bro, I love it. The fact that there's somebody who's sitting alone in the room right now who's being like, you guys aren't talking about the refs enough. You assholes.
Why are we acting shy?
Y'all were mad about me talking about Devin Booker. This guy's mad we're not talking about the refs.
Let's get this out of the way. Can we establish a rule on this show? Refs in every sport suck.
Yeah.
It's an impossible job.
Nobody gets it right. Yeah, and I mean it's a flawed concept, anyways. You might as well just call your own fouls because it's just as bad, right?
Oh no, we don't need James Harden calling.
James Harden, bro.
He already does. He already does.
Also true for sure.
Oh,
He had at
that's
least a
what- this is
times
what
two
we
multiplier
needed,
to
man.
that though.
This rocks. Thank you. You know what? Thank you, Calvin. Thank you, Calvin, for giving us a way to come and unite together.
Freckle Mamba's right. I want AI refs, right?
Frick the
Because
refs.
if you can trust anything, you can trust AI that just adds like a
Oh my
sixth or seventh, finger on something when you ask it to create something.
Oh my God, bro! This is awesome. This is exactly what.
Hey, why don't you both go firk yourselves? All
Yeah,
right,
hey, frick off, man, bro. Frick the roofs. You notice how Calvin stopped commenting? I bet nobody's ever closed out their YouTube app angrier than Calvin, being like they're not freaking talking about the roofs.
Weird.
Oh, there we go. That is there. It was intentional. You're right, man. We are intentionally not talking about the refs. We're big media over here, brother. We got. Oh, hey, Adam, you can come out from behind the lockers now. I think we held enough water for you.
It's not Adam. We all know the mob runs the NBA, right? Isn't that what we're worried about?
Oh,
Isn't that what we're all worried about?
Bro, you know,
And I did say 6'7". You're right.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we have seen so many comments in our time here and working in media for years, and I have never, ever had somebody get so mad that we didn't talk about the refs.
Calvin, I told you it is intentional. It's scripted out.
And we did. We talked about the refs before he even said that though. Like, bro, at least go rewatch the rest of the show before you get to that. Like, what are we talking about right now? We said they were bad. We gave them 15 seconds because that's all they deserved on this show where the Suns did not play good defense and had a bunch of other things going on. What we talking
Bro,
about?
Ryan was
now?
fouling the shit out of James Harden so many times,
Like, bro.
Like, yeah, some of the calls were BS, but some of them were fouls, dude.
Come on, man.
Mark Williams literally jumped into spots, bro. Like, yeah.
You know what, though? The refs got it totally wrong on that 4-point play for Devin Booker. That wasn't a foul.
Right.
Dude just tripped over his teammate.
Right.
Devin just
Oh my
happened to be in the way.
Right.
Frickin' refs.
Oh, there's no better way to end a post-game show than that.
I'm surprised Ayrton didn't mute our mics because we said we was done
Bro.
talking about refs about 40 minutes
Oh,
ago.
my God. That's the funniest thing I've ever
Calvin, you're
ever
100% right.
Dude, bro, that's the funniest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. If you enjoyed this, hit that frickin' like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the join button as well.
Please come back tomorrow. We'll complain more about the frickin'
Dude,
roofs.
tomorrow's pregame show, 30 minutes on the refs. You'll love it, Calvin. Be there.
Yeah, we'll get to the refs before we get to the injury report for the teams playing and all of that tomorrow.
You know what? Tomorrow we're announcing the starting lineup to the refs on pregame.
That's it.
That's going to be a big focus.
Over/under on foul calls.
Yeah, I mean,
What are
Calvin,
you guys wearing tonight for the refs? It's the classic pinstripes.
Calvin, you show up tomorrow. We're talking refs, all right?
Oh, my
Frickin'
God.
roofs. We're going to get on it, all right?
That's gonna be a
Steven
thing,
is
man.
crazy, Chris.
That's gonna be a thing, man. Oh my God, that's the funniest thing ever, man.
You know what? If the refs had called this game right, the Suns would have lost by 24. Why did we not get that tonight?
27.
Should have led with that today, honestly.
Oh man, if you want to follow the show, you can do so at PHNX_Suns. If you want to yell at us for not talking about the refs, you can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at that handle. We appreciate our guy behind the Mac making all the magic happen, the Freckled Mamba, also holding it down in the chat. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. Of course, you can follow Steven. That's Steven with the PH, by the way, at Steven PG3.
You could tweet Steven with a V if you want. I mean,
I bet you I'm not going to answer.
I think we found a way to curse in non-overtime. You can just start saying Ferk.
You can follow the show at Firkin Roofs.
Ferk the Roofs. By the way, if you're listening on audio, you're like, why are they saying that? That is how Calvin spelled that. You can follow Espo at ESPO. Calvin, that's for you. I know you have a hard time spelling. And you can follow me at ERIK. RUBY. Until next time, Ferk the Roofs.
We all silly like the mayor.